I'd recommend watching the previous updates first, otherwise this might not make much sense.
Alright, so that audio control I was talking about before with this, so you got a single gear right here that spins freely, secured with one screw right there, and then I think I messed this up by a millimeter because you can control it, but there's not a lot of room at all, but you can see it spinning, right, so it doesn't work. This piece, so I took another gear, drilled out the center a little bit, and so it fits around this, and it's actually tight enough where I'm not even going to glue it down. It still has enough, well, it's stuck to it well enough that you can still spin this and have the potentiometer spin with it. So this thing, again, fits in, and then as you spin the outside, you can see the inside spinning as well. So, yep. I just wish that was a millimeter outside because it's, or maybe I'll carve out a little section right here. We'll see. But well, I resolved the static issue for the speakers, but so as you can see, it's on the speaker right now. Center is mute, and then when I go one over, you'll hear the static from that line. You should be able to hear it. And so here I'll play some audio. Right now it's on mute.
Front, left, front, right, front, left.
So again, pretty
front,
clear audio coming from there.
Front,
Again, you got
left,
volume control with that
front,
potentiometer,
right,
but then
left, front, right, front, left, front, right,
so
front.
I don't know. I've tried connecting the ground for the audio jack, which is that black wire coming out of right there. I've tried connecting that to where the shared ground is for the initial audio jack over here. So connecting it to right there in the center. I've tried connecting it to the L minus or R minus on the amplifier. I've tried connecting it to the ground, the common ground over here, and no matter what, the static persists. And so, I don't know at this point. It might be a lost cause with the audio, or for the audio jack. But I guess as long as the speakers work, that's kind of, I mean, that's the main thing that needs to work. So, yep. Oh, and then the fan turns on. Little click of, or switch of that flip, or flip of that switch. All right. So, more comprehensive explanation of the audio here. We've got our LCD screen which sits on top, and so that connects over HDMI, outputs audio. We're pulling this from the audio jack on board here, because for whatever reason, the one on the Pi board is broken, or it's not being recognized by the system, and I don't know. I think it's a hardware issue, not a software issue, because I've tried everything from the software side of things. So anyway, we're pulling audio from here. Green are those left and right channels, black is that ground. And so the ground here is plugging in where you can see that. So that's being split between your L and R minus right there. Those are those two inside ones. And then the left and right channels are coming first into that potentiometer right there. You can kind of see them. So in on pins 1, pin 2 outputs to our audio board to the L plus R plus on the input side, and then outputs from the amplifier, which is those two inner points, to our switch. And I explained how the audio jack, or the external audio jack, is not really working, but the speakers are working fine. And so that's going to output on those positive left and right channels from those blue wires. So there's one of them on that side, blue other on that side, and then those two green ones you see there and there are coming straight from the output L minus R minus right there. So hopefully that makes sense. Alright, I've just attached a few more grounds that I'll be bringing out later, and then you can see the USBs. So Again, this board here sits on the back side. There's a reason for it, otherwise I would just have it facing with the USB ports on the outside. So that's extending them from the holes right here all the way around back, and then it's using that little structure to kind of funnel the cables back. So these two USB ends right here, they fit in here, actually like this, and then it screws in kind of, it's going to screw in right there. It's kind of like that. These are the two USB sticks I'll be using mainly for the front side here, which is my wireless keyboard and then the Wi-Fi USB card. So as long as that still pops out like so, we should be good. So, and then the front side looks like that right there. All right, here's maybe like a better view of how it's gonna like sit on top of it for the screen and the bottom part. We gotta figure out the audio still. I got some ideas to work with this old audio jack from an old laptop of mine that I tore out. I'm gonna try some things. We'll see if that works. Solve that static issue on that end. And then up here we got, this is actually the UPS in action. So it's got a couple of these 18650? Forget what they're called. 18 something 50 batteries. But yeah, that's just taking 5 volts and a ground out to our Pi board. Then I'm using some, what is that? 16 gauge wire for that. So yeah, and then the HDMI, that'll be a much thinner, it's more like a ribbon cable than this thick wire right here. And also for the power, eventually that'll be using this thing, so that's going to plug in where you see that, and then those two power and ground pins and plug in there. Because, I mean, for USB it should just be a 5 volts and a ground, right? You don't need the data plus or minus. So yeah, I'll probably give that a try next, just to make sure that's working as expected, and then yeah, get that audio figured out. So